Hello there and welcome to the Impact Zone podcast. We're back talking more TNA wrestling shenanigans. This is the No Surrender review. By God, this show. And this is what I mean by like TNA and the quality of the wrestling and the quality of everything that's going on. This is like one of the like shows that people would say this is a B pay-per-view or even a C pay-per-view. Maybe the next pay-per-view is a C pay-per-view, but whatever. Like people will be thinking, yeah, whatever. These B pay-per-views, yeah, whatever. You can phone it in and whatnot. It won't be that great, blah, 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 not much will happen. Like, you know, like I said, like I didn't think much was going to really happen as far as title changes, but I was a bit wrong, as we'll get to as we go along. But again, it's just one of those things that for, you know, like $10 or whatever it is for one of these, you know, shows that's quote-unquote a B show, it's delivered like an A+ show, realistically. Like, it was a great show. The ending was amazing. I know some people, like, if you're watching this, surely you've seen it by now, hopefully at least. So I don't want to give away spoilers, but the show was live. So if you're watching this, you're going to get spoiled to what kind of happened if you haven't already seen it. So yeah, just be aware of that. But we will get into it as we go. Please do hit the subscribe and help us out here. Help us grow the channel so we can keep bringing you this great content and bring you even more great content here on the podcast. This will be available both in its video form and should be available in its audio podcast form. So if you're listening on the audio podcast, you can check out the video podcast, and if you're watching on the video side of things, also you can check out the audio side of the podcast as well. All right, so with all that being covered, let's get to the countdown matches on the countdown show. So first we had Speedball Mike Bailey and Trent Seven, or Speedball Mountain, versus the Rascals. And like, this was fast paced, bro. This like set the pace for the whole night. The whole night was really fast paced. Like, that's TNA in a nutshell sometimes, or it was. But they've sort of since Hard to Kill, I feel like they've kind of reverted back to being like, we want things to be fairly fast-paced. We don't want too many lulls in the matches and things like that. Like, when you have somebody that's going in a submission or you're getting heat on somebody for something, you've got to make it mean something. You can't just put somebody in a headlock for no real reason. Like, if you're putting them in a headlock, you've got to start making that headlock mean more and more and more every single time. Like, I sometimes dream of putting people in headlocks. It's just one of those things. It's funny, but it's one of those things. You can't just put somebody in a headlock or a chin lock, whatever. You know, like, to start the match or whatever, yeah, sure, it's a transitional move or whatever. But still, like, it's one of those things that the fast-pacedness of matches nowadays. And again, like, it's not like these matches were, I don't know, flippy shit. Like, there was flippy shit in here, but it wasn't flippy shit without a story behind it. There was a flippy shit with, you know, consequences or with, you know, reasons and drama for it. That's what I always want. I love to see somebody do their 630s or whatever. That's an impressive, you know, athletic move. It's amazing and whatnot, or whatever it is. But if it didn't really mean much in the match, it kind of hurts the match. But anyway, this match was pretty darn good. I think all the matches on the show were pretty darn good. I think a couple of them really stood out. For a pre-show match, I think this one was a little bit short, but I think it had to be because the other match was kind of a little bit, well, maybe I feel like it was a little bit short, but it wasn't that short, I suppose, but like, it still felt a lot shorter. in regards to what happened in it and whatnot. So, but yeah, like the Rascals won this one, and I'm gonna almost forgot to say before I forget, I will check whether I predicted this one, and I predicted each match and whatnot. So yes, I predicted this one. I thought the Rascals would go over Bailey and Seven because I thought that would build heat between them and more of a story, and like Bay and Austin need rivals and so on. So I thought, it's probably going to happen. Highlights of the match here: one of the shooting star presses from Bailey. As part of that, you can go and watch that. Next, we have a tag match between, Eddie Edwards and Myers versus Kushida and Knight. Kazarian had a little bit of a promo in between these, but whatever. We'll talk more about more of that stuff, the feud between those two in a minute anyway, because that's the next match, which is interesting, but whatever. And I predicted in this one that the System would go over Kevin Knight and Kushida, and I was correct in that one. So, it's one of those things where, again, like there's a good story here, and there was a good match held within that story, and that's it. Like sometimes I feel like we say this, a lot of people who watch TNA and whatnot say these sorts of things a lot about TNA. The story was good and the match was good. Like, what more do people want? Like, honestly, like, really. Like, I know Scott D'Amore's out of the company now, and there's a little bit of turmoil there, but like, as far as like the show itself, between the ropes and between like bell to bell or whatever you want to say, between the beginning of the show and the end of the show, whether you count the pre-show or you don't, the whole show was really good. Like, the whole show was an entertaining event of professional wrestling. Like, and that's the thing. Like, people who want to say, "Oh, sucks," or blah blah blah, two people watch it and a dog or whatever, that sort of thing, that's just BS. Like, and yeah, I don't really know what they have to do to kind of get people, to realize how good like what they're doing is, but it's just one of those things. Again, you can see one of the highlights here of Myers getting the elbow drop onto Kevin Knight here after Eddie Edwards hits him with the backpack stunner. All right. Then No Surrender got on the air, and the first match was Kazarian and Eric Young with a title shot at Sacrifice. This was pretty short, honestly. This match was really short for what I thought it would be. I thought it would be longer, really, given what was kind of going on and that. But I think like some of the later matches in the show kind of took a lot of time, so I guess that they couldn't really fill the time with too much here. Like, it wasn't horrible, definitely not, or anything like that. I'm just saying I was just expected it a little bit longer. I didn't expect the match to kind of end as it. I kind of expected the match to end as it did, because I predicted that EY would win, and he did win in this one. But yeah, I thought it would be a little bit more like competitive, or a little bit more longer, I guess. So it wasn't not competitive, obviously, like I say, but still, like, it was really competitive because these guys know each other for many years and whatnot. There was lots of counters of signature and finisher moves and whatnot, rather than a lot of kicking out of a lot of signature and finisher moves. There was a couple of kickouts of like signature and finisher moves, but there was more counters to be had in terms of that sort of stuff, rather than just we're going to kick out of everyone's finisher all the time and weaken those finishers. So that is a bit of a smarter thing to do a lot of the time. It's better to counter something than to kick out of something most of the time if it's somebody's signature or their finisher. There is certain outside that sort of thing, but exceptions. But like for the most part, you shouldn't really do it, I don't think, because again, it just weakens it. So if you go for it next week or whatever on somebody, and we know last time it didn't get the win, then it's like, well, surely it's not getting the win this time, unless there's been other context around it, like you're on a chair or something, or on a table or something, or somebody got hit with the brass knucks or something else. Like there has to be other context there. This was the one. I think this was the only kick out of a finisher highlighted here, or quote unquote finisher or signature. In the match where Eric Young kicked out of Kazarian's Fade to Black. So yeah, that was a very close 2 count. Like I literally thought it was over. I thought, geez, I'm going to be wrong, and but no, it wasn't. But I also thought, man, this match has been short. But then it was still fairly short. It didn't last much longer after this, And then Kazarian attacked one of the referees in a brutal assault. So we'll have to see where that goes, because it's kind of like one of those things, like you when you're beating up a referee, it's like, well, yes, you can, to get some of that heat back or whatever and that sort of thing. So I guess that's where it's at, but there's no real payoff for that, I guess. Gia Miller interviewed the GYV, and they said, hey, we're going to win. Obviously, you're always going to say, hey, we're going to win, or whatever, effectively, So next was the best of 3 third match, and I predicted that Ace and Bay would retain, so I got that one correct here, because they did, in fact, retain. Though I think this was probably, it's tough to say. This was one of the matches of the night. Absolutely, this was probably the best tag team match on the show. Definitely, definitely the best one on the show. Even if you I guess there's no other matches on the main card, I guess, but still, even just it's still one of the top matches that you have to look at on this card. It was great. Their last couple of matches have been really up there and really good. This one was really great, because I think again, all the marbles are kind of on the table type thing. So it had to be really good. One of the highlights that I did see, not this one, not the Doomsday device, though that one was a pretty good one there. One of them ones was I think it was the Vets getting the ABC in the ring, and it was getting Bay in the ring, yeah, and nearly getting the win there. I think not with Grit Your Teeth, but with a tag team maneuver of some sort there that or maybe it wasn't a tag team. Maybe it was. Don't remember. Really, but yeah, it was a really I just remember the really close 2 count, and you felt like, oh man, this match is over. The GYV won, so I felt like, oh crap, mispredicted again. But no, he barely kicked out, and but yeah, they fought hard in this match, Ace and Bay. Like I said, I won't mind seeing the GYV stick around. I would like to see them stick around. I don't think they are. Maybe they'll come back in a few weeks or a few months or something. I don't know. It's tough to say, but yeah, it's a difficult place to be in when you lose and that. But they looked great, and they're great. So it's yeah. Oh yeah, did I say that Macklin helped them? So Speedball defeat Speedball and 7. Well, I also predicted that, so another tick there, I guess, kind of thing. But yeah, Steve Macklin was having a promo after helping the Rascals win against Speedball and Trent Seven. And it looks like they're going to continue to feud. Also, before I go too much further, I will say congratulations to Nick Nemeth on winning the IWGP Global... what is it called? The IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. I had to look it up because I could not remember what it's called. It's got like 5 different names, so it is one of those things. But we'll definitely be seeing more of this feud continuing at some point pretty soon, I am sure, on TNA Impact. So be sure to tune in to TNA and to the podcast here, because we will be putting that out there, as well as previews and reviews. Alright, PCO and Khan. This one didn't have a winner, actually. I thought potentially that Khan would win, so I guess I got this one wrong, technically speaking, but since neither man won, I don't know, but I guess I didn't get it right by predicting what would happen, I guess. I thought that there would be perhaps a Shamoz kind of finish to a degree. There kind of was. I kind of felt like the way Khan kind of left things by just wrenching the neck of PCO while he was trapped and in the chair and all that. I don't know, he probably should have just like smacked him with the chair, or just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, this was a great fight. Like, that was about it. Like, it really continued a lot of what they were doing already. But Khan, I guess, looked the strongest kind of in this, since he kind of walked away, leaving PCO kind of laying. So that does give him more of the momentum, as if he kind of won. So I'm almost feeling like I almost predicted that it was right, but not 100% there. But again, like, I kind of felt like they probably wouldn't end the feud here, and there'd be something else to kind of build towards another match, and certainly a sort of no DQ kind of confrontation of some sort. Although, actually, no, PCO won by Khan getting disqualified, so I'm completely wrong there. And not even reading the result. I thought they both got counted out, actually, sorry. But yeah, it was from the chair or whatever. Yeah. Oops. So I'm completely wrong. But yeah, like, still, like the build and the meaning is there for another match. And I feel like it's going to be a chairs match of some sort, probably, because they were using a lot of chairs involved in this one. So, you know, especially after the match and whatever. So, you can see Khan absolutely wailing PCO with the chair in this highlight. And PCO, when he was hitting Khan, he was kind of just hitting him with some kind of fairly weak shots for the most part. So maybe that's just due to being hit really hard. But yeah, his shots with the chair didn't quite have the same impact and whatnot. And this last little spot here of Khan wrenching the neck while PCO was trapped and in the chair, and that certainly. But still, I don't know whether this was like the best. Like, yeah, you've got to leave PCO laying, but I don't know. Like, it still was really good, but like how they set it up, and yes, you got to trap PCO, but just the way he kind of trapped him looked kind of weak, and yeah, I don't know. They should have found another way to kind of do it. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Kushida, Kevin Knight have a backstage discussion about their upcoming match for Alex Shelley. He's basically telling them, don't ever throw in that towel at all. Never do it, even if my back's broken. I don't care. I just want to win the title or try to win the title. So don't throw that towel in. Knockouts tag team title match here. And this one I got completely wrong. So for me, DK versus MK Ultra, I predicted that DK would retain their titles, and they didn't. MK Ultra beat them, which, again, like, I lose more and more faith with the tag team titles in this match by the minute. Like, the match itself was good. Like, these competitors are all great competitors, and they all belong in this division, or in the Knockouts division. As I say, just the tag team scene, or the women's tag team scene specifically, just is paper thin. So if DK were going to win, you start to, question, well, where are they going with these titles? What are they doing with these titles? Who are they going to face? Practically no one. So, but that's the same problem for MK Ultra on the flip side of that. So it's just like, well, cool, you flip-flop the titles now, which makes them less valuable, in a lot of ways. I don't know. And there's still no real good teams to face. Yes, Jody Threat and Danny Luna came down at the end of this match and whatnot. So it looks like they're going to be challenging for the titles. So, honestly, I feel like we know what's going to happen there, just in my opinion. Whatever. I liked this spot here, this highlight though, because if you watch the first match where, Kelly knocked Rosemary down, and then Rosemary Kelly came over and kind of crawled over Rosemary, and then Rosemary did her sit up thing that she does. And it scared Kelly or whatever a little bit, or surprised her, and then they did this the opposite way around, where they did that with Rosemary coming over the top of Kelly, and then Kelly coming up to surprise Rosemary, and then they kind of did it back and forth, which was kind of funny, I guess, but I didn't really take it that way. Some people were saying, "Oh, that's a bit of a comedy spot," or whatever, but I think comedy spots are fine, But yeah, as I said, Danny Luna and that came down at the end of the match, and we saw a little promo of Moose demanding Eddie Edwards and Myers not to throw in the towel. Then we had Simon Gotch versus Josh Alexander. I think again for singles matches, probably besides the Ali match, this is the top match that's on this card. I felt like it should have been a little bit more aggressive in the early going for a feud that's been kind of boiling over between these two. But I don't know. It got really physical. A lot of these matches got really physical, really. But I think it should have started more physical and, that kind of thing. But, yeah, the wrestling of it, just to, I don't know, that slowing of the pace to get to the big bang later on. I don't know. So I know I like that most of the time, but, when you got a blood feud, and this is kind of a blood feud to a degree, going, you don't do that. You have to start off strong, and then Gotch has to, sort of get the upper hand somehow, and blah 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 and all that. But this match, once it got going and it got over that initial kind of phase in the match, I think it got golden pretty darn quickly, and was great. And in this one, I predicted that Josh would win, and I got a tick there because I predicted that correctly because Josh won this match. Highlights here of Josh locking in the ankle lock, and I think the C4 spike as well was another big highlight because that was the finisher, and especially when Josh effectively reversed Gotch's pile driver into his own pile driver attempt, and that another big highlight of the match. AJ Francis told Rich Swann, "Hey, even though we're facing each other, we don't have to be enemies." So, it's starting to cook something there between them, certainly, and I don't know when, where, how, why it's all going to kind of come together, but it will, I'm sure, at some point. Moose and Shelley for the TNA World title. Now, this kind of surprised me that this was placed at this point in the card. I knew the X Division title match was going to be the main event, going into it at just before it. But, it surprised me that the gals, the ladies, got more top billing than this match. But I think the matches, perhaps that's where it was at. It was kind of this match was probably the best, or one of the best, singles matches as well. Although it wasn't really a singles match, I guess, with the corner men and all that, or the corner people, whatever, and all those shenanigans and whatnot, and that kind of thing. So, I don't know. I think, I'll say my predictions first before I say too much about that. Prediction, I predicted the Moose would retain, and he did, so that's another tick for me. Huzzah. But, the way they chose to kind of end this match is where I kind of, felt I don't know, yeah. It kind of felt like they almost were there when Kushida and Knight and these other guys were getting in the ring and all of that kind of stuff. And whatnot, so, that kind of felt like it was the obvious kind of, path that they should have been going down, getting Shelley effectively disqualified, and that by interfering just because, the system were being jerks and whatnot and antagonizing them and that sort of thing. Yeah. But, yeah. This highlight here of Moose going through the table after wailing Shelley with some brass knucks. That was a good little sequence there. And I think it really encapsulated the match. The fact that Kushida kind of threw in the towel for Shelley, even though he said, "Oh, don't ever throw the towel in for me," or whatever. But Moose had hit a couple of spears on Shelley. It looked like he could hit a couple more, or do this all day, all night, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he'd wrap the chain around himself to give him extra damage on that spear. So, I don't know. This is where I felt like they shouldn't have, done this. Again, they should have given Moose the opportunity to have a proper signature submission move, so that he could be diversified as a champion. But I don't know. It's tough to sort of figure that out, I guess, without too much, going back to somebody else's thing, like the torture rack or whatever, that sort of thing. And the torture rack's a pretty easy move to honestly get out of. But I would have liked to see Moose get a few more submissions on Shelley. I think the match overall was good, but just like the ending, like I feel like the ending and and whatnot, I kind of went, really, that's how you're going to end this, like, kind of thing. I just think they needed to step back and go, no, wait a minute, is this the way we're really going to end this? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that was the best way to kind of end it, and just, yeah, made things fall a bit flat. But yeah, Ash by Elegance came out to witness the Knockouts World Title match between Giselle Shaw and Jordan Grace. As far as predictions, I was actually, I think, saying like, I want Shaw to win, but I think Grace will win. And yeah, Grace did win, so technically that's a tick, I guess. But I'm not happy about it, I guess. But Shaw, like, she had a really good showing in this match, and whatnot. And so I kind of halfway wanted to see her do like the Triple H knee smash thing, somewhere in this match at some point, because I think like, or that, or like a high knee or something like that, like Triple H high knee or Harley Race high knee, something like that, because that would add to her denouement kind of thing, that she's all about that knee strike thing. She did hit a running knee at one point, like a smaller denouement. So, like, yeah, but I do feel like she should have hit more kind of like things with the knee, relate things back to using that knee strike. She went for it a few times, certainly, as well, but like, perhaps like just like having something to do more with the countering of the denouement here or there for a power move, for Grace to come back on or whatever, which she did, like, I think once, or something, but only kind of with the spinebuster, which is a good thing because you don't want to overdo it, but like, you want to have like something where you caught her with it as well, like more so, like, don't want to just hit it once, you want to hit it a couple of times throughout the match, so it builds to the time when she does counter it. So that, again, that's just me, that like thinking that could have been something good to kind of do with the match and the layout of it. But other than that, it's just like, like, it was really, really good, this match, and this is definitely still up there as well, like with one of the singles matches of the night as well. Though I felt like it was pretty short. A lot of these matches sometimes felt a little short, except for maybe Alexander and Gotch and maybe the main event. But like, other than that, like it didn't feel like they're 3 minutes short and just like, oh man, they needed 20 minutes, another 15 minutes. No, they felt like maybe this was like 15 to 16 minutes, maybe needed one more minute-ish or something. Like again, like I said, maybe it needed one or two more little spots that kind of felt like, like, wow, Giselle's got, her number, and she's got her with that knee strike a couple of times, and then finally Jordan Grace picks the knee and picks her up for the spinebuster, and, all of that. Like, it should have felt a little bit more like, oh crap, like, she got her now, like, rather than feeling like, oh, okay, she's countered that, cool, like, oh, now she's gonna win, okay, cool. And whatnot, like, the Spanish fly that Giselle hit onto the outside, that was like the ultimate thing here. No, I think this is the highlight here. This is amazing here, especially when they're right near the ropes. It's kind of hard to do things when you're either on the ropes or near the ropes, because those ropes can get in the way very, very easily. So yeah, that was great. Like, so yeah. And they really, like, took a hard bump on the outside. Ash by Elegance made her way out of the ring side area when she saw Jordan pick up the win, being disgusted. by it somehow. Jake Something had a short promo to say, hey, whoever wins this match, I want to challenge for that X Division title, effectively. And they also hyped up that this is the first time that the X Division title has main evented a show since the 05 Unbreakable match. So yeah, and they showed some highlights from the Unbreakable match. Ali versus Sabin for the X Division title. I predicted that Sabin would win, and he didn't. So, and this is probably the one that surprised me the most. Like, every other match that I kind of said, well, I got that a little bit wrong, or whatever. Like, I was, like, blown away by the fact that Ali won. I was just, like literally mind blown. I was like, what the hell are they doing? Like, oh my god, they've just given the title to Ali. Like, not that he doesn't deserve it or anything like that, as far as wrestling and whatnot is concerned. I certainly do think that he deserves to hold that title, but the thing is, as far as we know, as the fans know, we don't know what his status is. Is he sticking around for, like, a month or more? Like, is he sticking around? Well, we know that he is, but, like, is he sticking around for more than a month? We know he's here for a month or so, but that's about it. Like, like, that's all we know for sure with Ali. And is he going to stick around? Like, maybe he'll make his decision after being there for a few weeks or whatever. Even maybe he's made his decision, but I don't know. We don't know either. But again, just that whole thing, just so surprising. Like, it's like I know Nick Nemeth won his title on his debut, but like, it's crazy to think that Mustafa Ali won this title on his debut. So, you know, it's crazy. The 450 splash here. This is one of the best highlights of the match. Hitting the 450 onto Sabin's arm, and he hit the 450 for the win as well. And that was great. As well, like this, like Ali said, like post match, I think on the end of the show or after the show had kind of gone off the air, that this is his first major title in 20 years of being a wrestler. That's insane to me. This guy is super talented. Like, and that's what I want to say about like him coming here and doing what he's doing. Like, despite me thinking that perhaps like this wasn't the best decision or whatnot sometimes, or in some parts, like, it's amazing. Like, and it gets people talking. Holy crap, Mustafa Ali is, you know, in TNA and is the X Division champion, and he won the title in his debut match, and he won against probably the GOAT of the X Division in Chris Sabin. Like, and they had probably near a 5-star match tonight. They had literally the best match on the card tonight. Like, it literally probably wasn't 5 stars, but it was right up there with being, like, very high 4.5 to 5-star match. This match was just absolutely great. Absolutely tremendous. Like I can't gush enough and say enough good things about this match. Yes, it was a little bit slow to kind of start, but that's some matches in a nutshell. Like, sometimes they're a little bit slow to start, but that's just sometimes the way that I enjoy them. Sometimes, like, you need a little bit more of that slowness in the kind of middle part of the match to kind of, especially when the babyface is trying or being kept down and whatnot and all of this sort of stuff, to try to keep that momentum going. But actually, it was funny because, like, Ali is meant to be the heel here, but nearly everyone in the crowd was chanting for Ali, and Ali we trust, Ali, Ali, all this, like, throughout the whole match. So yeah, that sort of surprised me, even when the good hands kind of got involved a little bit and whatnot. But yeah, like, it's going to be an interesting title run. Like I said, we don't probably know how long he's gonna hold it for. But, you know, like, really, like, he can't hold it for too short of a period of time, honestly. But like, the question now becomes, I guess, where does this go? Because when I was thinking about Saban versus Ali, my thoughts were, well, Ali's coming in for a cup of coffee, and then he's wandering off into the sunset and doing some other stuff. But like that's one of those things. You never know what you're going to do when you come into a new promotion or whatever. You might go, geez, man, like this place is great. Like maybe I actually want to be here more often, or maybe I want to come back here. I've got some plans to come here and do a thing and then move on. And I've already scheduled some of those dates. But you know what? Geez, man, like I like it here. Like the guys, and even he praised the locker room after the match and whatnot and all of this. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but like when you come into a place and you feel like, Jesus, these guys trusted me and are putting their faith in me, and they're going to let me do what I do best, in this ring and in these arenas and whatnot and all of that stuff. Like it's incredible that they've taken this chance on somebody that's not really permanently with the company, and that sort of thing. Like Nick Nemeth, it feels like that's a little bit different. You could kind of argue away that he's going to be there long-term-ish, kind of. So yeah, like it feels like he'll be there for a year or so at least, at minimum. So like we'll have to wait and see more about that, but I don't want to talk more about that right now. We'll have to talk more about it later. But like again, just like no one knows except for perhaps like some of the people within the company how long he's going to be there. Though he has advertised some dates, maybe he'll get some more dates upcoming. But maybe those dates are the only dates that he's got so far. So at the moment, we only know so many dates. But like he could get certainly more dates, certainly. So, but either way, I don't think that he's leaving the company with the title at all. I don't know what else he's kind of doing. Like I say, I'm pretty blind to a lot of stuff, except for like maybe some New Japan and some AEW and WWE stuff. Like, but that's what most fans are. Most fans are just blind to the indie scene in general, because like if you haven't made it onto a major product, it's like you have very, very little visibility other than the indie people that are actually watching, or if like some scouts are watching those indie promotions, or somebody from those indie promotions like Scott D'Amore is running another or in part running another big promotion. So I'll be interested to see what Jake something or does to like with Ali. Honestly, I don't see him as an X Division guy. Like, I think like this is the thing. Like, he's not quite the world title ready, but I think he's like ready to have matches for the world title. So I don't think you could have him win the title and hold the title, but that's just some other shenanigans with storylines and whatnot and all that sort of stuff. He's not quite there yet, but I do think that he could challenge Moose, and I'm pretty hyped to see EY and Moose have a match. So yeah, but like I'm not very hyped to see Jake something in there with Ali. I'd be more interested to see the big meaty man facing, I don't know, somebody else, probably just Prudius, because he's already like got a program with Prudius. He should just like finish that program up, or like with Khan or something. I don't know. It's tough because you're trying to build Khan as well. So, but anyway, guys, that is that for this one in reviewing the show. But yeah, you guys can let me know what you guys think as well. Write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and hope you will join me again in another one.